Demi-Leigh Tebow had a whirlwind year in 2017, reigning as Miss Universe. Years before that, she was very busy with winning the Miss South Africa crown. At the end of her reign as Miss Universe, Demi-Leigh crowned her successor, and suddenly it felt like the rug was ripped right out from under her.
When Demi-Leigh Nell Peters was crowned Miss Universe 2017, she became internationally known. When she was given the title Mrs. Tim Tebow in 2020, she became the envy of young women across America. It's easy to look at this beauty queen, speaker, and champion for needy children and think her life is a fairy tale. Yet she's candid about her struggles, misplaced identity, the painful loss of her sister, even a narrow escape from carjackers who tried to kidnap her. With her new book, A Crown That Lasts, Demi-Leigh offers an insightful look at true identity versus whatever labels one has.
Please welcome to the 700 Club, Demi-Leigh Tebow. It's wonderful to have you here.
So great to be here with you, Terry. And I think you understand the message of the crown a little bit better than maybe most.
Yeah, well, you know, it is such an interesting thing. I remember, of course, the year is so wonderful, and you're so provided for in every way. People telling you where to be, when to be there, somebody actually making all the arrangements for that. And then, just as quickly as that crown is placed on your head, bam. It's over. I loved your candid scenario of how you responded to that, how you were backstage waiting for somebody to tell you, where do I go now? What do I do now? And nobody comes.
That's right.
Because it's over.
And you know, Miss Terry, not a lot of people would necessarily be able to relate to having worn a crown, having been a pageant queen for you know, argument's sake, but I think a lot of people can relate to the fact that we root our worth, our value, and maybe something that didn't last, something that was temporary. And that really is what this book is about how we can root our identity in something, maybe someone more specifically, that is never changing, that is fixed, that's always trustworthy, and that's bigger than ourselves.
And it takes a while for us to get there because we always think we know what it's going to take to make us feel fulfilled, happy, like we've got some purpose in life, but it can be ripped away when it's of our making. You're talking about an identity of eternal significance, and you found that in the Lord, but it was a journey to all of that. Why do you think so many of us struggle with identity? Sometimes people put that identity on us. It's not even something we choose.
Yeah, my subtitle of my book is You Are Not Your Label.
Yes.
And, you know, I think of the labels that people put on me that I didn't like wearing, but I also am reminded of the labels that I've liked to wear that has been stripped away. For instance, my Miss Universe label, or sash rather, was one that I enjoyed wearing, right? And when those labels fall away, you know, it leaves us feeling, well, what do I have to show up now, you know, for now that everything I worked for, everything that I showed up for every single day is no longer there. And what I had to realize was, as long as I root my confidence in myself, I am going to be let feeling that emptiness over and over and over again through my life. The word confidence just means to have full trust. And if I say I have full trust in myself, well, where does that leave me? But if I change that self to God confidence and rely on His promises, not only that He's made, but that He has kept throughout eternity, that is when we can really be our true self, have a sustainable identity.
It's so interesting to me how God uses it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know, and I think of how your family was so challenged by the birth of your sister who had pronounced her condition. How do you say that?
Franya was born with severe special needs and disabilities. Justine, she was born without a cerebellum, and there were multiple complications that came with that. But Franya's life, we were 10 years apart, as you can see on that picture. Franya's life was so significant and so special. And but Sarah, I don't think that we would fully know the extent of the purpose that her life has had until one day, you know, I get to meet my Maker and be with her again. That was a hard thing for me to accept. It was hard for me as a teenager, especially, to work through, you know, Lord, why is this happening to my sister? Why can she not be healed? And I was questioning the Lord over and over and over again. It rattled my faith. And I had to realize, well, I'm going to continue having all of these questions for the rest of my life. I need to make a change. And instead of saying, God, why? I am going to ask you, Lord, where? Where are you in this situation? Show me. And we serve a kind, loving, generous, gracious Father. And He is going to show us where He is when we seek Him.
Well, He really did that for you, because out of, in my mind, I mean, God already knew you and Tim were going to be together. Tim has a heart for young people, especially for people in general who have special needs. So here you were with a heart for that because of your sister. He has a heart for that. The two of you come together, and now you're serving into the lives of people who struggle with these issues. God is so gracious in how He uses it. I want to talk to you about the very frightening carjacking thing that you went through, because I'm reading that in the book and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what would I have done if that happened to me? You're driving, you're stuck in traffic, 3 men come out of the blue, one points a gun at you through the windshield, and you got out of the car. Talk about what happened.
Yeah, I write about that whole incident pretty extensively in my book. But the long and the short of the situation is I was able to escape that situation, thankfully unharmed. But the most terrifying part of that story was not necessarily the gun pointed to my head, which you would think would be the case. But thinking back now, the most terrifying part was running up a big avenue, you know, broad daylight, 5:30 in the afternoon, and knocking on window after window. People had their windows open. They could hear what I was saying, and nobody would stop to help me.
That's unbelievable.
That was terrifying, you know, looking over my shoulder, not knowing if I'm being chased down, being shot in the back, not knowing what my perpetrators' plan was, idea was. That was terrifying. And Miss Area, a young woman, she was 19 years old, stopped eventually and helped me. And all she had was this little beat up, old little car, so old that she had to lean over and unlock the little car knob to let me in. And I don't know if you know this term, but I think so easy we can say, oh, don't be that girl, you know, don't make a scene, don't make a fuss. But she taught me to actually go and be that girl for women around the world. And the ripple effect of goodness that has come from her simple act of obedience and the work my husband and I get to do together today is just such an honor, and I'm so grateful for that.
Talk about what you and Tim are doing today.
Yeah, our heart is first and foremost to love God and to serve people and to love people. I heard a quote recently that said, you know, the best way to love God is to serve God, and to serve Him is to serve others. Through the Tim Tebow Foundation, my husband and I are so honored to be able to serve people around the world, to provide faith, hope, and love in their deepest, darkest hour of need. And we do that through a multitude of ways. We have a really big heart for people with special needs. That's how Tim and I met, was through Night to Shine, which is a worldwide celebration.
Yeah, we all love that.
It's our favorite night of the year. And he invited my sister to prom and not me. So that's how we met, through Night to Shine.
Smart move, Tim.
You know? Hey, funny story. I didn't know football growing up because I'm from South Africa, right? Sure. We watch rugby there, and they don't wear pads or helmets.
All that gear that protects, right?
Yes. But I didn't know Tim. I didn't know his name, but I knew he was the Night to Shine guy. So that's how I first knew him, was the Night to Shine guy.
And how wonderful that you're now both doing things that God is leading you in and making a difference. I want to mention to people, Demi, that your book is available wherever books are sold. And I love the subtitle, You Are Not Your Label. The title is A Crown That Lasts, because that's what God offers each and every one of us. And you'll enjoy reading Demi's story. I highly recommend the book. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Great
having
to
me.
have you with us.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful to meet you in person. And thank you for all you're doing. You and Tim both, yeah.